the child wrapped in swaddling clothes. And the Spirit is the wind. And it was the wind that disturbed them, and disturbed the witnesses that came to witness the event. And they heard the wind too. So everything happens just as described in the book of Luke and the book of Matthew. I think Luke describes it more beautifully, more vividly. John does it perfectly, but at the end, in symbolism, and unless you know the language of symbolism, you don't see it. Because he speaks of the empty tomb, but the little cloth, the little napkin, was aside from the body. Here was the cloth, the linen clothes were there, but the little napkin was not part of it. It was part of it in the beginning. It covered his head. That's where he came out. And then the napkin was removed, and all by itself. Well, the napkin in the ancient world meant simply the afterbirth, the placenta. That was the meaning of the word. It is telling you a birth took place, because that wrapped the head. If it wrapped the head, then it came out of the head. That's where it was. And the napkin is all by itself, all rolled up. So if you understand the language of symbolism, you'll know what took place in that empty tomb. And the tomb was where he was born. He came out of that tomb and left behind him the placenta, the afterbirth, implying that a birth took place there. But where is it? I see the evidence, the body. I see the linen clothes. But now what actually came out of those linen clothes? You can't see it because it's spirit. Only the heavenly eyes can see it. Only those who are already awake within the body of the living God. Those who are now the living stones in that temple. And they rejoice that one more has joined the living body. But others can't see it. But those who know the symbolism, they know something took place. So John tells it beautifully, but he tells it symbolically. While Matthew and Luke, they tell it, or they tell it that mortal mind can understand. And they tell it as though it happened to the womb of a woman. And it never happened to the womb of any woman. It happened to the skull of woman, yes. But I'm speaking of generic man, male, female, made he then. So it comes out of both the skull of male or female, because what is coming out is above the organization of sex. So man in the resurrection is above the organization of sex. You're told that in him there is neither male nor female. No, not even Greek or Jew. Bond or free. Just one. So something comes out. You don't depend upon any split being to create. You create all out of yourself, for the body is one. And you are that one. But you make no claim to anyone in this world. You still are the devoted father, devoted husband, devoted friend, a friendly neighbor, and you play the same part in the eyes of those who know you. And you walk the earth until the very end, and no one would ever know, save those that you took into your confidence and you told them what happened to you. See, I have no feeling for Christianity save that which the individual has experienced. Organized Christianity means nothing to me. Last year they threw out 100 saints. Well, you can't throw anything out of the body of God. If there were saints in the beginning, there will still have to be saints today. So an organization gets together and say, I'm going to make saints. And then they bring this woman in, or that man in, and these people in, and pronounce them as Saint so-and-so. Saint Christopher has been dethroned. Saint Barbara, dethroned. And all the other saints, 100 of them last year. No man can make a saint. The lowliest of men. Suddenly he calls you, unexpectedly. And when you are called and incorporated into the body of love, which is God, and then sent, you're sent like the word being sent. to fulfill Scripture. And when you fulfill it, you are a living stone in the one body that is God, and you are one with that glorious body that is God. Not a little portion of it, it's only one body. And you are that body. So anyone seeing you after that in the eyes of the spirit world, they see God. And they know they're looking at God. And there's no doubt as to who they're looking at. They're looking at God. They're looking at love. They're looking at the only being that there really is. But all the others sleep until they are called. And when they are called, then they are awakened. And as they awake, they have these experiences. And when these experiences are completed within them, it doesn't matter when the little end comes, because they are not restored to life anymore. They are part of the heaven world. They are already a citizen of heaven, already sharing in that one body that is the glorified body. So when you hear the story on Sunday, if you go to church on Sunday, it's nice. You won't find me there, but if you go on Sunday, it will be Palm Sunday, that triumphant entrance into Jerusalem. Then comes the grand disillusionment, the trial, that one man must die for the nation. As we told you last week, what it meant. Only one being fell, carrying with us all. So the one is buried in all. And the one buried in you is the Son of God. And when he wakes in you, you are the Son of God. But beyond that, just a matter of moments, to be exact, 139 days later, he brings you to the Son. And the Son calls you Father. And then you know who you are. You're God the Father. And then the other events unfold normally within the span of 1,260 days. That is in store for every being in this world. I tell you, you are the Son, raised to the Father. And when you're raised to the Father, the Son then is David. As told you in Scripture. But scholars, with all their studying, cannot arrive at that conclusion because they start from false premises. If I start from a false premise, my conclusion will be false. And all the scholarship in the world cannot undo it if my premise is false. But revelation undoes it. And you can't deny revelation. And revealed truth cannot be logically proven. It's simply revealed. Then you go back into Scripture and you try to find where on earth this was foretold in Scripture. And there you find it. But you didn't find it before it was revealed. So revealed truth cannot be logically proven to anyone in this world. But after it's revealed, don't go any further in the Bible, go back into the Old Testament, and there you find it. It was always there, but not for the scholarly mind to detect. Not until it actually happened. So after 2,000 years of teaching a false premise, the conclusions must be wrong because premises must move forward to the normal conclusion. All origins bring forth after its kind. And so that is my origin, my premise. Then the end is going to be just like it. That's going to be false. But I am telling you, the day will come, you'll meet him. And when you meet him, you are God the Father, and he is exactly what Scripture tells you. He is your Son, and his name is David, the Beloved. So on Sunday, when you see the palm, bear in mind the palm is in the genealogy of Jesus. You'll find it as the mother of the twins. Her name was Tamar. The word Tamar means palm. She's one of the few women mentioned in the great drama of Christ. Here we are told, and Jacob had Judah. He was the father of Judah and his brothers. They didn't mention the first three. They could have mentioned Reuben and Levi and so on, but they jumped to the fourth one and mentioned Judah, the one who has the scepter and it never passes from his hand. And then he was the father. And then they mentioned the twins, Perez and his brother, and then by Tamar. Tamar is the palm tree, the stately one, as the psalmist writes of Israel, that king of Israel is just like the palm tree. That stately, majestic being, and it's Tamar. So you'll find the reason for this palm, which will be used, but they will not understand it. Why are we going to pass out little palms made in the form of a cross and give them out to those who come to serve it? But nevertheless, it is only a part of the unfolding drama, all within Scripture.